Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. It's the 1st of April. No April Fool's jokes from me, just some pens that I'm going to be using this month. This month's theme, it's the month of Jinhao. That means the pens I'm going to be using, they're all Jinhao pens. I'm really looking forward to this because the idea is to let me explore a little bit more the pens from this manufacturer. So join me now down on the mat, let's jump on in and take a look at the pens. Welcome down to the mat. Let's jump in and take a look at the first pen for the month. That's this one. This is the Jinhao 35. It's black. As you can see, everything's black. Pull the cap off. Even the nib is black. It's a nice black pen. This pen here, it's a cartridge converter that's full of ink at the moment. The pen, it's a bit thin, so I need to see how I'm going to get on with it this month. You know, sometimes for short sessions, thin pens are not too bad, but it's when we get down to the longer sessions, that's where I tend to find that they start to make my fingers ache after a few minutes. It's very understated, isn't it? What else? I actually think it looks really nice. Let's have a look at it writing because that's what we're here for. So pen number 1 is by Jinhao. And it's the 35. In here, we've got a fine nib. This is the only nib today that's marked as being fine. Doesn't mean it's the only fine nib, but it's the only one marked as such. This cost me $2.50 Australian dollars. Nice and cheap, you know, $2.50 for a pen that looks quite nice. The ink, it's by PenBBS. And it's Autumn Frosted Leaves. We've just gone into autumn here in Australia, so that's why I thought, well, I've got an autumn named ink. Let's use it. Let's look at our drying times. Immediate. Already looks like it might be quite dry. 10 seconds. At 10 seconds, it looks almost dry. I'm just going to repeat that 10-second test because I was a bit shocked by that. So here we go. 10 seconds, take 2. Yep, I've been able to repeat it. So very fast drying combo. I think the ink looks quite nice with this. So we've got this gorgeous reddish colour. And the black, well, I mean, really, black goes with anything. But I think this is a nice complement for each other. So this is the Jinhao 35 with PenBBS Autumn Frosted Leaves. Pen number 2 for this month goes to this. This is the Jinhao X750. Again, it's in black. Just going to fetch that 35 back. Look at the difference in size. Lengthwise, very, very similar. But look at the width. That Jinhao X750, it looks a more substantial pen. There's loads of different finishes for this pen. I went for this one because I thought this looks really nice. So it's like a roughened up black colour. Let's take off the cap. This has got a number 6 size nib. The 35 had a fairly small nib. This one I can swap for any other number 6 size nib. So it gives me a lot of options of what to do with this pen. I've still got the nib it came with though. I think it looks really nice. I think it's an understated pen. It does fit nicely in my hand. It's comfortable to use. And it's a nice wide section. Let's do some writing with it though. So we've got here a Jinhao X750. This is a medium nib. In terms of price, it's a big step up from the Jinhao 35. It's $6 Australian dollars. The ink in here is by Noodler. And it's Navajo Turquoise. I love the colour of this ink. It's such a gorgeous, nice blue ink. Now, one thing I'm going to call out that I'm seeing, and I'll know better when I'm editing the video, but it looks to me like this ink is feathering on this paper. I don't see that with a lot of inks. This is Oxford optic paper. It's normally really fountain pen friendly, but as we can see here, I think there is some feathering. Let's look at our drying times. Immediate. 10 seconds. Well, again, that's dry. I'm going to repeat that 10 seconds because it's one where I was expecting it to take at least 30. So here we go. 10 seconds, attempt 2. Yeah, that's dry again. I'm just going to move the paper because I want to see if we've got anything showing through with this ink. We have. So we've definitely got ink showing through on the other side. And we've had the tiniest amount bleed through as well. I don't normally see that with this paper. Normally this paper is really nice and friendly. I like the combination of the black with this blue. I think the black of the body really fetches out that gorgeous bright blue ink colour. But this is the Jinhao X750 with Noodler Navajo Turquoise. Pen number 3 for April is the Jinhao 159. This is in the silver body. I've got a couple of Jinhao 159s. This is one I haven't used for a while. What I've done with this pen is, because I hadn't used it for a while, and from memory when I last used it I had some flow issues, I've completely stripped down the nib. I've put it through some soapy water, some clean water. I've even had it run through my sonic cleaner. So I've tried to make sure the whole nib and the feed, they're all as clean as I could get them. Once I'd done that, put it all back together. In the little bit of pre-testing I've done, had no issues. Another number 6 size nib. I like this one better than the previous pen purely because it's 2-tone. I think having them 2 different tones, that silver colour and the gold colour, really fetches out the interest in the nib. It's another cartridge converter. All these pens today, they're all cartridge converters. It's another one, fits nicely in my hand, comfortable to use. Move the paper up ever so slightly. And let's do some writing. So we've got here a Jinhao 159. Again, it's got a medium nib. This one, it costs a whopping $7 Australian. The ink I'm using in here by Diamine. And it's Oxblood. It's another ink I've had for quite a while and haven't really used it as much as I'd like to. I think going with the silver body, I think again it's a nice combination. Let's look at drying times for this one. So we go immediate. 10 seconds. You know, no matter what pen and ink I'm using today, they're all drying after 10 seconds. I mean, it's going to be good for the month because that means I don't have to worry when I'm taking notes. But I'd like to see a little bit of difference. Anyway, this one is the Jinhao 159 and Diamine Oxblood. Pen number 4. We're taking an increase in price this time. Pen number 4 is the Jinhao 100. This is in the meteorite pattern. I think it looks really unusual. So we've got yellows and then we've got blacks. So a bit like, yeah, the yellows, they're like meteorites in the black of the sky. Really nice pen. This is, I'm not going to say it's a clone, but definitely highly inspired by the Parker Duofold. And I've got a number of these in different colours. Take off the cap. So it's another one. It's got that 2-tone nib. Very similar to the nib we saw in the 159. It's cartridge converter. As I say, all the pens are today. We have here a Jinhao 100. I think it's also called a Jinhao Centennial. Medium nib. As I said, we're now jumping in price. $14.50. The ink is by Robert Oster, a nice Australian company. And I've got to be honest, I picked this ink for its name, Cosmic Swirl. I thought to myself, well, the pen is called a meteorite, so I need some kind of space-themed ink, and that's why I went for this Cosmic Swirl. It's a really nice, vibrant purple colour, maybe tending towards the violet side of purple. It's nice though, it's really unusual. I've had a sample of this well over a year, and this is the first time I've used it, and I can't believe I've waited this long to try this out. Let's go for drying times. Immediate. So, challenge for everybody. Will this ink be dry after 10 seconds? Find out. 10 seconds. And look at that. It's another one that's dry. Now, the past couple of months, I did have the issue with the inks drying very quickly, but that's because they were hot days. At time of recording, it's only 19 degrees, so it's not a hot day today. And I was expecting to see 30, if not 60 seconds from a number of these inks. So I'm thinking I need to explore a little bit, not on camera, but to look at, is there something affecting the drying times on this particular paper? I've got a couple of other notepads that I'll try and do this with, just to experiment. But anyway, this is the Jinhao 100 with Robert Oster Cosmic Swirl. Let me just reposition the paper. There we go, so we can get the final two in. Pen number 5 is the Jinhao 200. So, brilliant numbering. We'll go 159, 100, 200. I think this looks unusual. We've got lots of brown, we've got like honey colours in there. And then we've got bits of greenish up here, and then black. I like the colours of this pen. One of the things I don't like about it, let me just unscrew it. It's very thin. It doesn't need to be posted. It will post, but I don't use my pens posted normally, and this is long enough to be used unposted. It's got a small nib compared to the last 3 pens, so I think this is similar in size to the nib on the Jinhao 35. When I ordered it, it came as a medium, but I don't think it is a medium. I think it's a fine. You'll see now when I write. So we've got here Jinhao 200. Medium nib, I'm going to say what it was. This cost 15 Australian dollars. The ink in here is by Diamine. And it's Tobacco Sunburst. This is like it's a brown, but there's a lot of green comes through in it to me. When we look at the line coming out of here and compare it to the previous 3 pens, I know we can only see the Cosmic Swirl above it. This does look like it's more of a fine line than what I'm seeing with the Jinhao 100 there. Let's do our drying times. Immediate. Now, of all today's inks, this is the one that I was expecting to be dry within 10 seconds. Let's validate that. Yep, there. That's nice and dry after 10 seconds. I think this ink is a really good match for the pen. We can see this gorgeous, as I say, it's like a greeny brown to my eye. And certainly up here where we've got some of the darker tones, that seems to pick out really nicely. But this is the Jinhao 200 with Diamine Tobacco Sunburst. My final pen for this month is the Jinhao 9056. This is a wooden bodied pen. The wood is called green sandalwood. This is the pen I'm really expecting issues with. In my testing I did before recording this, I had awful problems getting this pen to write. Once it starts writing, once the ink starts flowing, it's not too bad, but it dries out so quickly. I had, before I filled the pen, stripped it like I did with the 159. Stripped it, cleaned it. Still getting the problems. I've checked the tines, made sure they're all aligned, made sure there's no baby's bottom or anything like that. I still have been having problems. I have tested this just before I started recording. It was writing then. Hopefully, we'll see it right throughout this recording. Once this converter is empty, what I'm going to do is again strip this down, give it a really good clean. I want to see if I can get this to write. I may even try putting a different nib in it, but this is the pen I'm really expecting issues with. It's another one with a number 6 size nib. This is what I am thinking I might try changing the nib. I've got a number of number 6 nibs sat in my repair box, so hopefully we'll be able to get this working and consistently working. So this is, did you see there where it had a hard start? This is a Jinhao 9056 medium nib, and this cost 16 Australian dollars. I do like the looks of this pen. I think it looks really nice, which is why I got it. In terms of ink, it's by Troublemaker. And it's sea glass. So again, there we had an issue. I think this is a nice, unusual green ink. Green sandalwood, that's why I wanted a green ink in here. There's a little bit of green coming through in the body. Not sure if that comes over on the camera. So that's where I'm hoping, we've got a little bit of this green being picked up. Let's see how this dries. So there's immediate. Will we get more than 10 seconds? See, we've already stopped writing now. There we go. 10 seconds. Oh, is that a tiny little smudge, or am I just being hopeful? That doesn't really matter. 10 seconds. It's another one that's dry. I'm just going to turn this paper over. I want to see what we're getting in terms of show through. So where I've used my 1.1, getting a lot of ink showing through there. And to be honest, we're seeing a lot of ink coming through on all of these. I'm going to go back a couple of months in my notepad. So this is last month's, very similar. So I've gone back to the start of the year. Start of the year, it wasn't too bad. And we were getting longer drying times. So I'm wondering if the paper's dried out a bit. As I say, I need to play around with that. Let me fetch all the pens in for one final look. My pens for April of 2022, the month of Jinhao, Jinhao 35 with PenBBS Autumn Frosted Leaves, Jinhao X750 with Noodler's Navajo Turquoise, Jinhao 159 with Diamine Oxblood, Jinhao 100 in Meteorite with Robert Oster Cosmic Swirl, Jinhao 200 with Diamine Tobacco Sunburst, and the Jinhao 9056 with Troublemaker Sea Glass. Really looking forward to this month. It's been ages since I've really seemed to have worked with some of these pens, so it's nice to get them out of the cupboard, get some ink in them, and give them the love they deserve. What do you think to the pens I'm using this month? I think there's a nice selection there. How about the inks? Are there any similar inks or different inks that you think might be worth me trying? Please drop a comment down below. I'd also be interested to know, have you had issues with paper? I don't know what it is about this Oxford Optic paper, but the new pad, I don't know if they've maybe changed the formulation, but maybe even the heat here has got to the paper and dried it out too much. It just doesn't seem to be performing as well as it used to. Please drop a comment down below with your experiences with papers. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.